Lila, the tapestry of the unseen, and Angie here. And here is Kiwi.
Kiwi, the
He doesn't
lovely Kiwi.
want to be here, not at all. And
Hi, Ange. Hi, Lexi.
so
Thanks for being here, hanging out.
got that little tongue there, but I'm not gonna. That this is the dog, and so this is the best I can do as far as getting the dog to come. Oh,
I
let's
love
look.
seeing Kiwi.
Yeah,
I felt her energy the last time when did a reading with her. for her.
yeah. She's got. It's kind of strange. I have sometimes the dog's energy field is kind of weird sometimes, and sometimes it lingers and maybe. But then I was thinking, well, maybe it wasn't the dog's energy field. Maybe it's that my as I'm getting older, my body is getting more sensitive to certain fabrics, and maybe like I don't really know if it was that or if it was that the that she's got a really hot energy field,
A really hot what?
hot energy field.
Could be, you know.
Yeah, yeah. All right, I'm gonna put the dog down, and she
Hi,
can.
Elizabeth. Yeah, I know. I brought one of my little dogs, and she just was started to like crunch on my crystals. So I'm like, I can't have her here. I put her back in a little playpen.
And so anyway, we want to talk a little bit about. Lila's going to talk about her channel. About the channel of Tapestry of the Unseen. And I love the name, however. But so, and you do. They know what you do, but there might be some people that are listening in that do not know what you do. And so, why don't you go and talk about your channel here a bit?
So I love my animals. I have three chows, and I have a little Maltese. I had one that passed like a month ago, so that was difficult. But I have been reading the tarot since I was 18, and I'm 48 now, so it's a long time. I don't know where the time goes. Hey, John. Um, and yeah, I just Tapestry of the Unseen. I actually went to design school, so um, I worked with a lot of textile fabrics and stuff like that. So that's one of the. So I just kind of merged those together, thinking like as we go on our journey, we are kind of our experiences and memories and the other side. It interweaves together, and we make our tapestry right with our story of our lives or stories from beyond of like our loved ones that have passed. So that's what I thought about my name, and I love anything mysterious, like not too scary, but like mystery, kind of spooky, but not like The Exorcist.
Well, when I think of like the tapestry, I think of I think of the poet Kabir, and
I mean, do you remember? Did you ever, those big tapestries that used to hang in those castles from
uh-huh.
back in the 1500s? Those were really cool, and it used to do. It would be like a kind of like a story, a picture, that was woven in. So I always thought those were really beautiful. So
Mhm. And so we have this tapestry that's in the unseen world, and it's just filled with lots of different strings and life and so forth, and so that's kind of what you're seeing, or you might see like what was I thinking about today?
well, and
Uh,
we're all interconnected, right? We're all energy, and so even our past loved ones. I mean, I believe that they are still with us. They're just on a different plane. So we're still all connected. We're interwoven with each
mhm.
other and our stories. So that's what I think about it.
Well, so when you think of like, in the sense of animal spirits and animal consciousness or the consciousness of the earth, that's something that you have some awareness of? Is
Yeah, ever since I was, a little girl. I mean, I've brought picked up. animals, wild animals, and I would bring them home, and if they were hurt,
Mhm.
I would, you know, bring them back to health and then release them. Or if it wasn't a wild animal, and I would try to find the owner, and if it, then I would just keep it. But
Yeah.
it's a funny story. This past weekend, my mother lives with me. She's 83, and all of a sudden she's like, "Oh, there's a bird in the house. There's a bird in the house." So I'm like, "Okay, she got to tell." She threw it on the bird. And so she picks it up and she takes it outside, and all of a sudden I see her coming back with the bird, and she's like giving it a kiss. And I'm like, "Mom, what are you doing?" She's like, "I'm gonna keep it. She's just so beautiful." I'm like, "You can't keep it." I'm like, "That's where I get my like that's where I get my weirdness with animals." I'm like, but yeah, I just a lot of people that I've uh don't understand or don't give like the time. I think everybody here is very sensitive and more aware than a lot of other people, but I've come across that they don't see them as being very very conscious or having a personality, and even actually animal trainers um, that I've had come in, because I did have two of my chows. The older one was wanting to beat up the younger one every single day. So I did get several trainers, two of them, but none of them really worked. One of them was a really sweet guy. The other one was horrible, and but anyways, but they even the trainers, they would just say things like, "Well, animals, don't get jealous or they don't feel bad or embarrassed." And it's not true. They do. They do get jealous. They also feel shame and embarrassment. Um, so I, you know, for me, I can sense, well, I mean, energy. A lot of us, though, all are very sensitive. But I think some people don't really take the time to really bond or really understand the animal, because you can sense, I mean, at least, I'm around them, so I can sense their energy and like what they want, or what they're trying to tell me.
Mhm.
Um, so and I do read the cards for my animals. It's actually helped me a lot when they weren't getting along. And I apologize. I'm not used to like looking at the chat and talking. So if I miss somebody, but I do read the cards. It actually helped me a lot with Gidget and Buckles with because they weren't getting along. I mean, those were very stressful times because Gidget is wanted to just beat her up, and they're very Gidget's like 80 pounds, and then Buckles is like she was like 45, 50.
Mhm.
But yeah, the cards actually would help me to see what was going to happen today. So I would be able to see like if Gidget was going to feel a certain way, and or they were going to be triggered. So then I can kind of be prepared with redirecting that behavior so that the fight wouldn't happen. That's what it was. My most important thing is that I wanted to redirect it all the time because I didn't want it to get to a point where if they would fight, it would be very hard to have them be in, the same room. So, I mean, it took a long time and it's a lot of work, but now they're best friends. They play together, but yeah, it was, and my husband was like, I'm not doing, those are your dogs. I'm not doing, I'm not doing anything. So, which is fine.
So do you like when you read cards on your dogs? Do you do the RWS or tarot, or do you use a oracle deck?
Um, I use anything. I do have some decks that I only use for my animals. One is a Korean deck that is like an animal communication deck. I'll have to show it, but I use that. And there's this other one that I found. Sorry, I'm so thirsty. It's been one of those long days.
Mhm.
There's this other deck that I found that is for animal communication too, and I use those, and they work really well. But I also use like, oh, I used this twin flame deck on Buckles the other day, and I use the RWS. But yeah, they do. I do have some decks that are just just for them. Um, and there's actually one deck that one of my dogs that's passed over, um, because it's not a deck I would ever buy. I mean, it's like it's the Cosmo deck or something. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it's like diamonds and like I mean, it's totally something that she would because she was kind of like foo like that. I don't know how to explain it, but she kind of led me to buy that deck, and I've been able to get great messages from that deck, and um, yeah, and I only use that deck for communicating with her or my other animals that I've passed on.
Mm. Yeah,
So
yeah. I have a regular pet cemetery around here.
Pet Cemetery, I can't read that book. That scares
There's
me.
a tree right here, and there's a couple cats out there. The last, no, one of the cats is cremated, but there's another cat that's out there, Jack Cat.
You mean
And
you have a cat that's cremated, or are you talking about the book Pet Cemetery?
I was talking about about where we buried the animals that had passed on. You know, the little cats and the dogs, and just
Oh yeah.
there's a tree right out back, and so then, like for instance, there was like a pecking order. So when Pee Wee came, and it was after we had a dog for a short time, Odo, and he was not here for more than a year before he passed on. He was a dash hound, and then he'd had back problems, and then he got like a broken back, and then
Ooh.
he had to have him put down. And um,
Hi, Selena.
yes, welcome, Selena. And Selena, I wanted to let you know that the number of cards I have left to do is just a few, and then I'm working on that video to for her, just letting her know, giving her a progress report on the Oracle deck I'm making for her. And 'cause it's yeah, I told her because it was under maybe it's taking a little longer for me to get it done than I thought. Anyways, nevertheless, I've been taking the
That's really
opportunity
cool.
to inform that I'm making an Oracle deck for her, and it's getting closer to being done. But nevertheless, I'm sorry. So there's the pet cemetery out back, but then the dog passes on, and then um then we got Pee Wee. But there was two dogs that we had to pass on that. There was Milo, but Milo was also I think about 15, and so Milo came into this family when he was like one. And then at the time that Milo came into this family, I was living up in Seattle. And then I came back, and I never expected to come back to live in the area that I grew up in. And never expected that to happen, but it did. And then I came back, and then 6 months later or so after I came back, my dad got killed in a car accident.
Oh,
But
I'm sorry.
right before that, I had a dream about his dog Milo. And his dog Milo came into and then just after Dad died, it was like it didn't seem like Milo missed him at all. Then immediately the dog had jumped on to me and bonded to me, and it was a really a special. I wasn't if we weren't expecting that, but there was not like there was just it was just like a continuity. There's this continuity of like maybe did the dog know that there was something, who knows, but maybe on that deeper level in that tapestry of that unseen that we can't see, that there was strings or just kind of things just passed from one one to the other, and so
Well,
that
animals can see spirits, so perhaps maybe your dad, he knew that your dad was transitioning, and maybe your dad told him,
yeah,
take care of my son or something, or,
yeah, I don't know, but that was that, and then Milo, and it was really hard when Milo passed on, and then Odo, I didn't get to know Odo very well, but I really liked Odo, and I had just bought him a new toy. It was only that he liked to play with, and then he was gone, and we still have the toy. This Pee-wee doesn't like toys at all. You know,
no.
he's not a toy dog. She's a little dog, yes, but nevertheless. So Pee-wee came, and she was like agitated all the time, and would bark, 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 bark at me, and then it was like I worked really hard to get Pee-wee to like me, and so, but then really that it happened after one of the cats passed away, Grace cat. She passed away 2 years ago, and she was like close to 20, and
Wow.
the weather changed from like warm to cold, and the cat went downhill really fast. And it was like the cat said, "You know what? I just can't do another winter. I just can't handle it." And then so when the cat passed away, uh, Pee-wee then would come into my bedroom and like sit on top of my clothes or whatever, and she'd never been in my space, and it was like, well, that's weird. It was just like, well, maybe there was like this sort of a order, pecking order, or something that was
Yeah,
going on in this. If we want to use the word, the tapestry of the house, and
that's quite,
and
yeah,
you know,
definitely.
and that the dog would then it was kind of that was how the transition point, and how it went from where I could where it before I couldn't actually pick the dog up. And so yeah, that was kind of how
Yeah.
that
Plus, you
happened.
never know if Pee-wee had like a bad experience with like a man. Maybe she just needs. Sometimes they just need more time, to trust you and stuff. But
Yeah,
it seems like you guys are like two peas in a pod, though. You had her on your lap. She was just calm.
yeah, yeah. So, anyways, yeah, that's let's see what we got there. Let's talk about my Oracle deck, and it's the dog scooting water dishes along. They sort of do using tools. Now, little Pee-wee, she doesn't know that she's doing it, but occasionally she'll roll her window down in the car, and yeah, so she's got her own little seat, and she gets up there, and then if her gets up on the little ledge, and it's like to the front, well, then somehow magically the window goes down.
You'd be surprised. She's probably doing it on purpose. You probably know. You
Yeah,
never know. She probably does.
when you're in like going barreling down the road and everything, and so yeah. Now, you mentioned that you've been reading professionally. Then
And what?
you read tarot professionally.
Yeah, I do. Like I've read for many years. I just though opened probably like a couple months my Etsy shop, but I haven't really done anything with it.
Hmm.
But then I also read for the hotlines. But
Okay.
I keep that separate and stuff. And then, um, yeah, and then I read for other people, like in my private, just, people that I've known for years and stuff. So,
That was what I was kind of curious about, because I thought about, I'm not quite skill level quite there yet, but it popped into my head like a year and a half ago that I should read for the hotlines, and
yeah,
so I never actually met anybody who read for the hotlines, and so
you know, um, it's convenient, but you just have to be prepared for, the questions that you get. Because like, even though I've read for many years, some of the questions I've never had anybody ask me, until I was on.
there
But
would be,
yeah,
yeah. So then
there's a lot of love reading, so just be prepared to do, to know, to have your like love reading like down pat, so because that's the majority is. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I figured as much because I like follow a tarot subreddit on Reddit, and they're all, they're all like mostly love readings. Can you give me a second opinion on your cards here? And then it says no. It's not happening. This person that broke your heart is not coming back. And I don't need to see the card to know that's the outcome here. It's like let's just move on. Move on to the next person.
you know what? I'm very straightforward. I'm not one of the type of, because there are some people that will like do like a fairy tale kind of story, like oh they're gonna come back. But I just read whatever the cards say, and you know, um,
Mhm.
because it's better. It's better for them to know than to just think that oh it's gonna be great and he's gonna it's just a fairy tale. Um, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So then,
and you get people that don't want to hear it.
well,
They
yeah,
only they only want to hear that everything that the person loves them and
yeah, because there's. 'Cause I don't know how. Well, it does happen. People do get back together, man. After those relationships get ruptured like that, it happens all the time. And I mean, I know somebody who. What did they do? They got divorced 3 times. The same person, and then eventually it was like, okay, well, we're not married anymore, but we're together. Then another 7 years or something goes by. Oh, we're common law married again. What's up with
true.
that same person? My dad. There was a person like that worked for my dad, and then when I worked at that casino, it was the tribal casino, and the guy would come in with his wife, who wasn't his wife, but they'd been together for 50 years, They're
Yeah.
just constantly married and divorced,
Well, my mother-in-law, who I take care of, she also lives with us, but she's been married 5 times,
mhm.
and twice to one of the same man. But that wasn't, the one the last marriage she had. The last marriage she had, he passed away and stuff. But yeah, she was married 5 times. That's a lot.
Well, I mean, that's the thing is, but that's that. But then
Yeah.
so the psychic hotline. Now, I would probably assume that it doesn't pay very well, but it probably because it's once or does it?
You know, actually, I have my I'm not going to say the name, so I'm not going to get in trouble. I don't think, but
Yeah.
I have a lot of like you start getting like regulars, and I have built up a lot of people that come like some even come every week, which
Mhm.
you really don't need. I mean, I'd like to tell them, but I don't. I think I would get in trouble if I told them you don't need a reading like every week. Like I don't think so. But
Well, but then that's kind of like you're stepping into a role that you are like a confessor, or you're like like it's like the person who goes to their priest to confess every week, and
yeah,
and
I mean,
you know, and
some of my clients that are like the regulars, they'll talk to me about family stuff. They're like any like work stuff, or if they're like wanting to launch a project, and then they'll. I mean, I have one client that will talk to me about like political stuff. She doesn't live in the U.S., but
mhm,
she's still interested in what's going on here and stuff. So she'll ask me questions about what's going on, and so it varies. Um, but you do get a lot of love readings. You know, most of my regulars that come like often, they're not so much love readings. They're more about they like to ask about all of their children's
mhm,
lives as well, stuff like that.
mhm.
So
Well, the person that I read for regularly is my sister. I read for her.
yeah.
Although she'll ask me to read sometimes about her children too. Not all of
Mhm.
them that seem to be more troubled or whatnot. I, yeah,
I mean, I think it's a great tool if you're a parent to read tarot, because then you can really find out, what they're up to. I mean, my mother though, I could never get away with shit. She doesn't read tarot, but she knew what I was up to, and I don't know if it was just, but she was, yeah, she just. But it's a great tool if you're a parent want to know what's going on with your kids.
Well, I don't think that parents need tarot to figure out what the hell their kids are up to. Because
You don't think, or do
no,
you do think?
because I think many parents can get a sense about that stuff. I mean, I'll just give you an example here.
Mhm.
My mom is not into that because she's kind of comes from these Puritan roots, this because her ancestry was traced back to the Mayflower, and they have all the congregation. The religious roots are really um, more you know more of that. But then, but so when my sister and I we were teenagers, my sister one time they didn't parents didn't go away very often. They went to go to the Oregon State Fair, and then well, my sister thought that having a caterer would be a good idea during the time while they're gone. And and so now as the story goes, they didn't get very far away before they had these really bad feelings, like
Oh,
something wasn't right. And then I don't know how we knew that they were coming back, but I guess maybe they called. This is long before cell phone. They called or something, and then so we got everybody out of the house except there was
before they got there.
most of them before they got here. And then there were a few of them that were leaving, and there were a few of them that were leaving as they pulled up. And then, but then what was then like a half hour after they got home, mom finds one of the couples in her walk-in closet, and they're like making out. And the boy worked for my
Oh,
dad's employee. And then I think there was like a whole bunch of embarrassment there. I don't know how much longer he was employee after that, but it wasn't. But that wasn't really something my father would have held against a person. Nevertheless, but there was like a sense that something wasn't right, and that they needed that their night away was not they can't have a night away, and so so
they came home. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh no. I mean, what did your mom do? Was she more like relaxed about it and kind of like, you need to leave? I mean, my mother would. she's like
I don't
she's like
really
a
remember.
firecracker.
I don't remember, but it was not like a we were late teenagers. Was it like something that was not like something that grounding and all that kind of stuff doesn't really work too well for children who are almost adults themselves.
Yeah.
And there's this what I don't really remember what the outcome was. I just remember there was this story that mom was told afterwards that she had this sense that there was something was wrong, something was amiss.
Hmm.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, and going back to, it's interesting because, you know, we as people have that, right? But so do animals too. Going back to animals, um, this is one example, but my mother-in-law, she has dementia, and so um, we were all sleeping, and my dog Ivan was barking and barking, and we were like, Ivan, get in here. He never barks. So finally, um, I got up and went, and my mother-in-law had walked out to the living room, and she was laying on the floor, and Ivan was in front of her, just barking, basically wanted to tell us, like, hey, get up. But
Mhm.
they also sense because he never leaves the room. Once we like retire, they all go in there, but he sensed that something was wrong, and my mother-in-law, she'll do that sometimes. She doesn't really know what's going on, so she just kind of like will lay on the floor and then, But Ivan was just like, come and, your mom's over here, come and get her.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Mm,
parents, and well, animals have very sensitive to that. So,
yeah. Well, my mom is very good at like interpreting what the dog is saying. She's very good at that. She or well, because like this evening I didn't go on a walk. I generally go on a walk with but I was like running behind and getting ready for tonight. I didn't want to make sure I got everything done, and so I didn't go. And so the dog was like looking behind her the whole time, and
hmm
then when she turned around, the dog was running back really fast. So I got the sense, oh, so the dog was saying, "Oh, we forgot Billy. We got to get back home fast because we forgot Billy. Billy always comes on the walks." But so when I just take the dog for the walk, it's like, okay, he's always looking behind. And so I'm
hmm
like yanking on the leash. All right, it's just you and me. It's you and me, Pee. It's just you and me. And then after about a little while, then she kind of settles down and realizes that, oh, it's just Billy and Pee. It's me and Billy. All right, well, let's get this over with as fast as possible. 'Cause that's the sense I get from. And then you turn around and the dog is running home because we got to go back and get Mama. We got to go back and get Mama.
Yeah, they, just like they have that pack mentality, but you
Mhm.
are part of the pack too. It's like they won't go to bed until I go to bed. It's like they watch out and stuff, and it's really interesting. I had this other chow that's passed now, but she would go to every night. She would go to everybody's room, make sure everybody was okay, and then she would go to bed. But
Yeah.
they're very sensitive. I'm always telling my husband, like, you're going to hurt their feelings. He's like, shut up, Carolyn, shut up.
Mhm.
It's like, um, because he doesn't understand. He's like, I'm not going to hurt their feelings. No, but they do get their feelings hurt, and then they won't, want anything to do with you for a long time. Sure. So,
Mhm. Yeah. So yeah, like I often when I'm under a lot of stress, I would see like in the corner of my eye, I would see the dog. I would see the dog wasn't there. I kept,
hmm
kept seeing the dog, but the dog wasn't there, and it made me think, oh, is the dog just um on a spirit level? The dog is there for me, but on a physical level, the dog isn't there. That's kind of what the sense that I'm getting.
yeah, I mean, they're very sensitive because they can see ghosts and past loved ones. So if you ever see your dog, staring off or doing interacting where there's nobody in the room, you
Hmm.
know, you, it's um, it's probably an energy either of something else or maybe a past loved one. So they're very sensitive to that.
So then, now you connected up to my dog's energy, even though you'd never seen my dog before. I just mentioned that. So how is it that you do that?
I think I don't really know how to explain it. Just like when we're reading cards, um, because there's like you know tarot. There's like the meanings, right? Which is like the like standard of the base, and then
Hmm.
from there, I guess I connect with my spirit guides whenever I do a reading,
Hmm.
and um, it's kind of like having a conversation with my spirit guide. I'll just ask, a question or in my head. I don't really use spreads. Sometimes, if I'm doing like with some friends and pull out some spreads and we'll do that. But with clients or like when I'm reading for animals, I just kind of do my own spread in my head where I ask certain questions and then pulling out the cards. Um, and it's like a conversation with spirit. So I'm laying down the cards and I'm getting stuff from spirit as well as from the image, or the meaning of the card. And it's kind of just like like connecting everything. I don't really know how it works, but I just feel, I guess I can feel, and sometimes I get like images, but I feel that energy, and um,
Mm.
it feels good. It feels so good to be around people who understand this, because I was in the closet for so many years. I mean, not even my family knew that I read tarot. Um, and I mean, I'm still kind of in the closet, like for work purposes, um, but yeah, for family now knows, but yeah, it feels so good to be able to like discuss like, the the way that the world is, and also these tools. I've seen they're tools to be able to communicate, use them to communicate with other energies and our past loved ones, or to communicate with people, and it's just sensing just energy. um
Mhm.
I don't know, that's like at best I can explain it. I don't know, I'm probably not that good at explaining it.
Well, that's good. I've always was because my one of the guests I had on, my sister, was wanting to would want to ask the question of how do you actually hear? Is it like an energetic thing, or is it do you
So
hear?
this is the trick, like for me at least. Like when I'm reading for an animal or for somebody, um it's like my mind, like my right brain, or takes a back seat. So, and as I'm going, it's not my, I guess it's in my voice, but it's not me saying that. It's whatever comes in first, is what even if that sounds kind of weird and doesn't make sense, is what it is, and what I
Mhm.
should like relate to whoever I'm reading for. When I try to like make sense, like if I get in there and I'm like, okay, wait, these cards here, then I'll mess up the whole reading. So I just kind of like trust in my connection with my guide, and I just pull, and whatever comes in my head is, I know that it's not mine. The first thing that comes in your head, it's not yours.
I
It's not
see.
your, yeah, that's how I take it. It's always, I mean, how it's worked for me, I guess.
Hmm. Well,
And then if I ever like try to get too like, start thinking like, okay, wait, there's this symbol and that, then it'll mess up the whole reading, and I'll fuck it up.
I see. I see. So, like, I have I just like I have a deck that is kind of freeing because it is there's no. This is it's a joke deck, and
I
and
love that deck.
And
Yes.
and so there's no you making up your meanings as you go along, and so
Mhm.
it's like a trainer deck for training your intuition to see what's going on, because you're looking at the card and you're not really thinking
Yes.
about what the meaning of the card is. You're just looking at that, or like my one of my the oracle decks that I'm making is.
Sorry, my allergies are bad all the
That's all right.
time.
They're pretty bad with this here is made out of losing scratch tickets,
That's pretty cool. That's very creative.
and I've made this I think about 2 years ago, and so it's something I can use it. Let's say as a poet writer, to spin stories on the spot, or as a divinatory tool.
Yeah.
Christopher Farley, welcome. He came in one of my live last night, and so yeah, welcome back. And so, and then it doesn't work if you're not open. So you have to be
Well,
open.
yes. you have to be open and
Yeah,
right for receiving.
yeah.
That's really cool. You have to show me how you work with it, or if you could
Well,
show it. Like,
when I get that one video done, it shows how I'm making them, and then I will actually bring. I actually have on my new channel, Tools of Fortune. I have brought it out once, and now, granted, I'm not reading anybody, so it's like when you're reading a completely cold question, it's very difficult to to even know where to start. That's kind of what I'm saying. And so
oh, when
like
you're reading like a cold question,
yeah, yeah.
you
And
know, just I would suggest because what I do, what I've always done is like read on fictional characters, or even like while I'm watching TV, and that's a good way
oh
to like practice your
yeah,
intuition.
a fictional character. Yeah, so I have actually gone into Reddit and read some questions. However, I kind of made some because I well one of the readings I was starting to do, and I oh gosh, I can feel the guy's energy. And so I decided I didn't want to read on somebody without their permission. I didn't want to read on somebody for to so I scrapped that whole idea because that question because I noticed that even like if even though the question was something that somebody had asked 6 months ago, there was still this something that lingered on to it. And
Hmm.
so when I did go and trying to, especially for reading with this deck, because I wanted to go with more maximum humor, I wanted it to be a completely cold question and not,
Well, you made me laugh when you did that reading. I thought it was really funny,
yeah,
and I have that deck, but I haven't used it. But it looks like it would be a lot of fun to use.
well, yeah,
And yeah, it was pretty fun. You can always change like personal details or like a little bit of the whatever it is that you read on Reddit, and that way maybe you will feel better about just doing it. It's not going to
yeah.
disclose anybody's name
Yeah,
or anything.
I'll probably go back for my my Tuesdays video that I'm gonna release. I'll probably do another reading Reddit. I haven't read Reddit for a couple weeks, and so it's time I started that back up again. But you could do anyways. But that's kind of like a because that's kind of I guess in a sense of that open hero reading when they talk about I can never remember the guy's name. He did he's dead now, but he did the CBD tarot.
Ben Yaw.
Him, yes, because there was a method called the open tarot reading method, and which is you just look, you don't you don't think about what the book meaning is. You just read. You look at there's all these cards in the
Like
spread, and you just
directionality and like what they're like little details about the
yeah,
character, like if they have a hat on or if they're like, yeah, that's
yeah,
pretty fun. That's a great. He wrote a really good book though. I really do like his book.
yeah.
I like
I
it.
haven't read it. I'm kind of on a at this point in time. I have a lot of books that I haven't read, so I've frozen any more buying of any more books. And it's not like I can get these books in the library. But learning, that's how you read. That method is how you read this tarot. But
Hmm.
then there's this other level. I think that the guy, I think the way I see it as is that you have a dinner party or something like that,
Hmm.
and you have a couple friends, they know you're a tarot reader, but then there's like maybe a dozen people, they're your neighbor, and and then you don't really, you haven't come out to them, that you're a tarot reader or whatever, and so then they say, oh, can you do this, and then that's when you pull this one out, and, oh yeah, let's do this one, so that you're not actually going out with any of your regular tarot decks, but you're just going to go pull out the joke tarot deck that
Hmm.
doesn't have any cosmic significance to it. And I think that's what the purpose of this one is. Now, I never seen that written anywhere, but that's what I got from it. Is that, okay? You want a tarot reading? Well, all right, we're gonna do this one, and
I think
okay,
that's perfect.
you
But
know,
I do think that you can get really on point answers with that deck too, though. Sometimes those people that are skeptics get like blown away. Sometimes they're like scared off.
yeah, yeah, there, because there's that now. Yeah. Anyways, but that's what I sensed I got with that. But then it's also like as a trainer to you got a little bit of the book knowledge, you got a little bit of that, but now it's time to actually go and train those other skills. And so that's where you would go to an oracle deck or something like this that's totally it has no there's no it's just whatever the card says, that's what it means. And then you just kind of go for it from there. And yeah.
Yeah, and you can always mix. I like to use all my decks, so I mix the Oracle decks and read them either together or with like Tarot and Oracle and
Mhm.
stuff.
Yeah, so like
It
in my diviner kit I have
That's pretty cool. You have a diviner kit.
yeah, I have a keyword tarot deck, but I like the pocket size. This is the pocket size keyword. And since I
I
don't
like
have
that.
I don't have all the cards memorized, and I'm kind of a wordy type of guy, so I kind of like that because I like to have a word or something just to grab 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 a hold of, to
I think keyword decks are awesome. I have quite a few of them. I
yeah,
bought one that's like a Halloween one recently. That's really cute.
yeah, but yeah, that's right. Because I and so so this one, yeah, it's a pocket size, and it I got it from Etsy. It was pretty expensive, and so you know,
Etsy can be kind of expensive, but that's a good size too. To like, I've been wanting to do more like tarot tableaus. Where it's kind of like the Letterman or the Kipper spread, and then so that size would be perfect for that.
yeah. Well, it's also if you're doing tarot on YouTube, you have to have one. You have to have camera decks, and you're thinking of sizes that are good for if you are doing the kind like you're pointing the camera straight down at the table, and you're not putting your face up there. And so that's a can the pocket size ones and the mini ones are great camera decks. And so then the other tool I have in here is I have some letter dice.
That's pretty cool. I don't have any letter dice, but I do want to get some.
Yeah, yeah,
I
and
think it's a good idea.
that's kind of like one of my latest additions. I don't, and then I have a nice oracle, which is because I'm like I'm a lapsed Catholic, and
I grew up Catholic too, so
I
but
didn't
I
grow up,
love
but I became Catholic as an adult, and then that's that. So it's just it's this, and then I have another kit. The Vegas is a little bit on the small side. It just barely fits all this stuff in here. And then I have another kit that I put in a cigar box.
I saw that. That's a really cool cigar box.
Yeah, yeah. And then in it is this one, which is my favorite of the keyword decks. The
That's a good
Apprentice.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, as
And
well.
then I use this What's the Vibe Oracle.
I've seen that one. Those little Amazon decks. I don't know if you guys have used them, but they are really good for clarifying. I feel. They work
Those
well.
they got pictures on them, and they're like around $9 before the tariffs. And then
I know.
um, I will do a little bit of bibliomancy. Now I've tried these ones once or twice, but the one that I get the best results from is this missile. And I love this missile. It's a full complete one, so it has the entire church year. It's got all three church years in it in the reading. Plus, it has pictures. And so, like one time, I think I was on someone else's channel, and and maybe I came across this image of Jesus being whipped at the pole, and then some insight came with, I don't really remember what it this
That's a good one for bibliomancy. Yeah.
exactly, and so that that's that. And
You know, I got inspired by Selena with her ancestor cards that she created, which are so like beautiful and meaningful. But I ended up buying these little just blank playing cards. But I don't know when I'll have the time to like make my own little, you know, oracle deck and see how that goes. You
mhm,
know, but that's
yeah,
really cool that you're doing that. Selena's doing it too. I think that's really interesting. I want to do that, but
anyways,
it's hard to find the time.
well, it is, and so yeah. So anyway, we have getting up on 50 minutes here. And so,
Yeah. So
yeah, so I'd like to have you come on again sometime, but you can come on and do the color in the tarot.
yeah,
That what that is that you don't have to. You can choose any colors you want, but you just have to make sure you can talk for the 90 minutes that it takes to do the. That's the thing is it's about a 90-minute session, and
I don't know, Bills. I could do that. No, I mean, I'd love to come on,
okay,
but
all right. Well, don't,
maybe
then
I'll read for people. I don't know.
Well, when I get to 50 subs on that Tools of Fortune, then I can go and do live readings on it. But
That's really cool.
get stuck at
I thought there
44.
was another way. Wasn't there another way to like be able to do lives? Like you could like do your driver's license or something, something else, or no? Maybe I'm thinking of something else.
I don't know. I think you can use a desktop computer. You can do that, or I can. My laptop is.
Oh, to do it on your phone. I see. You like doing it on the
uh,
phone? Yeah,
I I'm producing my entire show on the phone, and I'm including editing videos and everything, and so
that's
it's
what I do too. I just do everything on the phone.
so yeah, and that's why, and I use the go live together feature because my if I were to, I'm
Oh,
gonna try to look
Chris
at
is
the.
saying that he's painting. Oh, you have baby birds. Oh,
Oh
that's wonderful.
yeah,
I
painting
love
baby.
birds. They're very smart. I had
Yeah,
I've had several birds in my life.
yeah. Well, there's like a hawk in the valley, and so we kind of like watch little Kiwi like a hawk because
Oh
you
yeah,
know you know
you gotta be
yeah,
careful.
yeah, because those hawks can pick up a dog, and yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I don't know if we really answered too many of the questions about animal and spirit consciousness here. We did have a nice conversation, but maybe
We
that's a
got sidetracked.
we got maybe we need to have this conversation again, but then this time have a little bit more um, stuff, as far as like the whole. If I were to like maybe talk about just the things that I've plant consciousness, animal consciousness, and that sense of like if you were looking at like at the matrix level, or that there's all this
Because
energy that
plants are conscious too.
and there's this level of consciousness that's the earth consciousness. It's not necessarily is it like, oh, it's not, they're not building rockets. Just because we're doing that stuff doesn't mean that we are somehow more superior to them, and in that sense, and we have that. I guess it's kind of I I guess I should talk. Well, I don't know if I want to go and talk about Christian dominionism anymore, but I know I know a little bit about it, and the little bit that I know about it, I don't like any of it, and
So then don't talk about it.
how dangerous how dangerous that. But it's something that Christian dominionism is something that is part of our political landscape, and that and so it's like it's been this isn't a politics channel, but then you know, I don't know that, but that's not a politics channel. I don't doing politics here, but it is something that is. It's something
Yeah,
that is.
and it's very dangerous. I
Mhm.
feel that the way that they're dividing, you know,
Yeah.
people. So um, it's un- it's a very difficult time, yeah, for a lot of
Yeah.
people. And
Well, it's not just a now thing, but it's just that but um, I guess if I could go on, I guess I could do that in the future. Go talk
good night, Selena.
about, uh, 'cause
You could.
it's
I mean, have you done? You want to do start doing political readings?
no,
You know.
I don't want to do political reads because then here, this is the biggest reason why is this. I I don't know that when we are reading for politics, I don't know that I'm not sure that we're actually. I don't know that we're actually supposed to know some of this stuff. That's one of the thing is I don't know that we're supposed to know some of this stuff, and then also I think what we're reading is we're reading the dreams of a hell of a lot of people because the other side has a bunch of dreams too, but we're not. But there's so maybe think because if you like remember in 2020, just after 2021 and QAnon, and for 2 years after Joe Biden was elected,
Yeah.
QAnon was going to any day now. Mike Lindell was saying any day now they're going to find this evidence of this voter fraud or whatever, and Donald Trump is going to get reinstalled as president. And this was stuff was going on for almost 2 years. And so when I see political reads, my mind just goes to that, and I'm thinking, well, isn't that just the same thing? Me, when there's a lot of people that got a lot of big channels out there, and they're doing these things, and I'm just not so sure I'm not so sure that we are actually seeing what does that make any sense?
I
That
think. Yeah, I think some people are, but like everything, there's a lot of misinformation. There's people that
Mhm,
there's people that will read because they have a certain goal, like a personal goal they want to get to, and they get more views with
mhm,
saying some things, that are, untrue. It's just all, I think that whatever comes to us, right, I feel for me, is from spirit. So if I'm
mhm.
not supposed to know, then I wouldn't get the information.
Yeah,
It's just how I feel.
I
Yeah.
got that's what I was looking at. I don't know. This is me, and there is a lot of stuff out there, but I just kind of wondering if that. But that's just I don't. That's why I'm thinking about political reasons. There is a lot of this different energy that's there,
Yeah.
and
There's some troll, Christy.
yeah, I know. I was looking at them. And I was almost going to say, well, Jesus loves you too, and
People
which
are crazy.
I
There's,
can. I mean, but
but
no,
I think,
yeah,
so you think that we're not supposed to know, like the things that read, because some readers, I feel, I don't know, there's readers that sometimes it seems, and I think you mentioned this, that they're reading, but I feel like it's not an actual, I feel like it's more like they're doing this like very kind of scandalous and like kind of hyped up reading to get
mm,
more views, because it gets more views than actually just, reading. Sometimes I feel like they feed into that so that they can get more views or more popular because it's, you know, I
yeah,
mean, those readers that are like, oh, oh, he's going to jail, like his karma's, all this crazy stuff.
and so it's just like it's that. that well, I was like, well, are they? Is it just a show, or is it just simply that because there's so many people that have because like just like in the energy that I felt in like February was really dark. It was really dark, and and I didn't, and I figured that was like, okay, well, if it's in a reaction, there's a lot of dark energy out there, and it took me a little while to put that to distill that, or to not even to engage in thinking those kinds of thoughts, in which were I don't really want to mention it anything, but it's just they're just more dark energy. Um,
There's a lot of dark energy, but that's why you have to, make sure that you do your protection ritual or whatever it is. Do you do that to protect your energy before you do readings, or even if you're a sensitive person?
I do
Um,
some say some prayers, but this wasn't like dark. This would be like be walking down the street, be taking a walk, and all this stuff that would be coming into you. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is that um, I don't know what I'm trying to say. I just not sure when I see a lot of people that are a lot of the big channels, and they're doing the political reason. I'm not sure if what they're getting is if it's true or not. That's what I'm trying to say.
I think some people have like an agenda, right? They have some. I feel like some of, I mean, even in all genre channels and all different types of readings, right? I think some people are in it for, getting more views and getting more followers, because you do with a lot of, if you feed into a lot of that outrageous, stories, or a lot of the darkness that's out there, you're going to get
Mhm.
more views. And um, I guess, I don't really want to talk about like who's right or wrong, but I think you could tell the energy, right? If some of the things that the readings that they're doing, sometimes they sound really outrageous and crazy,
Mhm.
and I mean, but there's people that don't, they don't feel that energy, so they probably take it as truth, which is, responsible, I feel.
Mhm.
But that's why there's so many people that are confused. They don't know which, what is true and what's not.
Yeah. Well, I guess maybe it's what it is. I watched a lot of them, but then it's like, is this like a false hope? Now, because I thought for sure, that Tom was up
You know
until
what?
up
I think,
until
yeah, go on.
election day, when I woke up, I thought, "Uh-oh, this something's different." And then,
I think a lot of readers, because you get a lot of feedback. Well, I haven't, because my little dinky channel, like, I hardly have anybody on there, just a couple of people, and I appreciate them. But like a lot of readers get a probably, I'm assuming they get a lot of like feedback from people, and if they were to sense the energy changing, they didn't want to, because I know from one astrologer that I know has a channel. Um, he didn't want to upset his his
base.
followers, but
Mhm.
his base, by saying that what he saw in the chart was that Trump was going to win.
Yeah,
And so he didn't want to upset everybody. And I think that might have happened to a lot of people, because um, some people don't want to, like, you don't want them to get upset and stuff. And I mean, that was really hard. I thought Kamala was going to win.
yeah,
But,
yeah.
I don't think he won fair and square. That's just my opinion.
Well, that doesn't.
Um,
This, if it was a stolen election, it's not the first time it's happened to this country. one of the I think that in the history books it showed that the Kennedys stole election too. So it's happened multiple times, and but we still, as long as the process keeps still going on, and we are still able to at least select one
I
leader.
think this is the worst one, but also
Yeah,
Bush and what was his name back in the day? Bush and
they
who
still
there was,
one.
yeah. So like, but this I feel like is just, yeah, it's really crazy.
Yeah.
It's, yeah,
But I guess what is that some of the false hopes I've heard out there is like, oh, well, this was like, yeah, that was right. That was before the election. It said that, well, there's going to be trouble, and then Joe Biden would be installed as president in April. And I'm
I
thinking,
heard that from some very big YouTubers that have a huge following.
mhm,
But then again, I feel that perhaps they don't want to upset their base. Maybe they don't want to like lose followers, by um, or have people fall into like, I mean, because it did affect a lot of people fall deep into a depression. Some people are very sensitive, and the things that are happening, um, the way that Trump is targeting people, it's really ugly.
yeah,
It's sad that in the United States that people are being kicked off the street and
mm,
interrogated and put in jail without due process or anything.
that is for certain. It is a. But then again, you have all this stuff that's going on. I look out the window, and nothing's changed. Go in my neighborhood, nothing has changed.
Yeah,
People are still doing their jobs. They're taking care of their families. You walk the dog, the change. The birds are still here. They're still coming. The migrations are happening. The world is going on,
but you
and
know what though? In my professional readings, I'm not going to say details, but I've had several clients that have been affected by the Trump presidency, where they lost their jobs, or they had family members that were, sent back to their country.
yeah,
So that's, yeah.
yeah,
So it's hard to. It's just, yeah. There's a lot of stuff going on,
yeah. Hmm.
but we have to stay positive and hopeful. I think that if we all like unite and get together, we can overcome this and rebuild.
Mhm. But yeah, I get that. Yeah, this is the most political conversation I've had on this channel. But
Oh, whoops.
yeah, yeah, I kind of have, but I was thinking about it because I split my content between this channel and the other channel, and have one of them that's just one genre, but this is a more became more like a talk show, so it can be I can go into
I
other in the future.
Well, I'm sorry, but like I went all over the place. We started on animal consciousness, and then we went on a tangent. I mean, it's probably my ADHD.
Well, you know what? I think just for your own good, we'll have you come back on again, and we're going to try to stay more on topic. And
Yes, I'll bring like a little list so like I don't get sidetracked because
yeah,
I mean
so we'll
that's
we'll
like my
we'll
life all the time.
we'll make the plans beforehand, and kind of get a sense, and then we'll go for it from there, because you have a lot of knowledge and a lot of knowledge to give,
I
and
mean,
that's
I don't know about that, but I appreciate you asking me on here. That was really nice of you. And
well,
I'm just
you're
a
welcome.
little. I just started, and I did a channel because I wanted to be part of the tarot community. I always, like I said, it's a lot. It's like really fun, and I enjoy like meeting people and discussing things that I have in common. Because all of every my other, like my family and other friends, like they don't. They are not into tarot or anything like that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's important to have some community, and Selena's first time going live with another person was on my channel. Now she's
Was
like
it?
all over the place. She's all over the
I
place.
I know Selena has like her weekly show. Yeah, she's
Mhm.
and Ange also has a lot
Yeah,
of lives, and Elizabeth and
they
mhm.
do a lot of stuff. So maybe this the open door for something else, and maybe something more regular.
I don't know. I'm like, you know how crazy because you're a caregiver too. So I have my mother-in-law who's 91 with dementia, and then I have my mother who's 83. My mother's is fine, but I still have to like take her to doctor's appointments, and then I have my four dogs. So it's hard to find time. It's hard, you know. I mean, you understand it because you have your mom. It's
I
really hard.
and my mom has not interrupted once tonight. So like last night when I was doing a painting, she called me 3 times in order to go operate the remote control on the TV.
Yes.
And
Oh my gosh. Yes. I
things
mean,
like that. And and I
I get
really
constantly like, you know, Lila, Lila, like constantly something. Yeah.
yeah, and I kind of worry about like, well, what happens when this channel becomes monetized? What happens when those things happen, and then you need, or you're in a position where um you're working and you have
Like
somebody calling you to go fix the TV, you know?
you know what I feel like, because you are so like genuine, and I think that's what people like about you. And I
Mhm.
feel like I feel like that is the key. I feel that's what the world needs actually is just the real genuine. And you just saying like I'll be right back. I think people will be able to relate to that more than having like an overproduced, like everything perfect, you know, with the script and everything like that. You know, I
Yeah.
mean, you,
Well,
it's representing like real life. You know,
I think of more like the last time I went on and read on Elizabeth channel, and that mom was having some problems, but I wasn't able to get back into reading because of all the problems that were
yeah.
that were happening, and so
Oh
that was
yeah.
the lesson of being able to access uh whatever it is that I'm accessing. I don't necessarily call it guides, but maybe because I'm a bit more but it's
Yeah.
whatever it is.
It's you just have to go with the flow, right? Like
Yeah.
because there's nothing else. Like I get interrupted constantly, and then my husband's actually out of town this weekend, so that's why I've been without interruption.
I
Like,
see. I
because
see.
usually it's like I mean I don't know for some reason I'm like the tech person here, the secretary, like the you know remote control queen that can fix so everybody needs me.
So then when you're reading for clients, then you must have to be like it's like a regular job. You can't have somebody yelling at you for the remote.
Well, yeah, I have. I thought this is why I got these. Even though I feel like I'm a 12-year-old with these big old headphones, but because they have like a good microphone, and I can, it actually blocks out a lot of the noise. Because my house is always like a freaking circus. Like, you know, the dog. There's one dog barking, and like you know, then I have you know my mother or my mother-in-law and stuff. So these block out like a lot, and I can and like the clients can hear me well. So that's why I wore them tonight
Oh, okay,
because
okay, okay. I get it.
it's unpredictable.
So yeah, yeah. Because those are just things I worry about, and because I figured that I think that on a timeline, I'm thinking I'm probably about 6 months away from being able to start doing something like
I
that. I'm
can
not really positive, but
well,
I might be
Phil,
ready
I
now.
can help you if you want. Like, I mean, if you want to kind of, I can help you with like knowing like the process and like what you know, kind of what you can expect and stuff if you want. You know.
Well, that might be actually might make it also might make a good show too, to go through that as far as
Well, I don't know if I'd get in trouble with
well, no,
like
what I'm
disclosing like
saying
anything,
is
because I want to keep it separate completely because I don't want to get in trouble with them. But
yeah, yeah, because I've actually watched some videos on people who were professional movers like that, and they, of course, they did not. Of course, they wouldn't talk about the company they work for or anything like that.
yeah,
But they talked about the process a bit, and reading a spread and doing their first spread reading. I never haven't learned spreads. I should learn them, but I
you
just have.
know, I don't think you have to, but it's whatever you want. I feel like whatever you feel comfortable with is what you should do. You know, I for my professional readings, I just kind of do a spread based on their question in my head, as
Mhm.
I'm going to do the reading. And that works for me. But there's some people that have like a set spread, like for love or for career or for, different topics. But I just do it based on, I create a spread based on their question. And that works for me. So you might
I
want to try that.
Well, I mean, yeah, I'll try that. But generally, I'm at the first my first point of entry when I'm reading for a person is I use this, and I go in and I run that random page, and I'm just looking for what it's like. Whoa, what does this person need? How do I start? How do I start? How do I start? And then I get a few words, and then I maybe
That's the thing. You don't even have to, don't think about it. Just like read the question and then pull the cards. And
Mhm.
before, like, trust in like the connection that you'll get your answer. And I think that'll work, better for you because I feel like sometimes, like, if I'm overthinking, like you said, like, how do I start? Just read the question and trust and put down
Mhm.
your cards. You should try that and see if it works for you because it works for me really well.
All right. Well, I will do that for my very next one. I'll find some Reddit question first. I've been looking for something that are like really really silly. You know, um, is silly as
You
you
mean
can
on
think.
Reddit and stuff, or?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because try to make it interesting. I mean, more.
Well, there's a lot of content on there. I mean, there's probably a lot of good like things that you can grab from there to
Yeah,
read.
yeah. It's a hell of a rabbit hole. I mean,
Yeah.
looking down in there. There's lots of stuff in there. Yeah.
Mhm.
I've had a good time. I've hoped that you've had a good time too with it.
I did. I hope it wasn't too like boring.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to know what's boring and what isn't.
Yeah. But yeah,
Yeah.
if you ever need help or have questions and stuff, you can let me know.
Okay. Well, I will do that. But so we can think about having another show in the near future. But we'll try to stay on topic and about. Because some of the things I was thinking about is and if a visitor came from someplace else
Uh huh.
and they saw this planet here, they may not distinguish plant, animal, and people, would not see the difference. They would just see there's all this life that's here, and they would not see that. Whereas we human beings, we see ourselves as something special. Well,
If they're a
they
higher
may
intelligence, right? If they're like
have,
a higher intelligence, they could
yeah,
just see us
as
as like, yeah, a potted plant, you know?
part of the whole, and then you wonder, well, I wonder if, let's say you go out into the ocean and you have the king of the ocean. What is that? The octopus, the most intelligent creature in
Was it
the
eight
ocean, and
brains or nine? I can't remember if it's eight or nine brains.
yeah,
Yeah.
you have the octopus, but then you have the big mammals and everything else, and they are projecting their consciousness in the ocean. But maybe they're with the exception of running across occasional ships and everything else, they may be completely oblivious to the fact that we exist.
I think that they communicate telepathically,
Mhm.
the animals. I feel
Yeah.
like it's probably like how they read the energy, and then different species probably have different,
Hmm.
techniques or something.
That's something to think about, to really reflect upon on that.
Uh
Is that
huh.
what do that is just an example of things of there's this earth consciousness and what maybe it's not conscious in the way that the scientists kind of describe it as. Maybe when you're trying to test it, you're looking you're trying to test this stuff. This is really hard, but we're just sort of we're speculating and we want to
You know, I was going to mention, have you watched that podcast? Is it Lex Friedman? He has really interesting guests on the podcast, and they talk about different things. He has like a lot of experts on there. You might have you watched any of his podcasts? Of any of his? He's on YouTube.
let me write it down here.
You might like it because I think you would like it because I like it. I think it's really interesting.
What was the name again?
Oh, Christopher's asking, have you ever saved an? Yes, I have. Um, I um, I had a bird that flew onto my shoulder, and it had it looked like a BB gun hole, and so I tried. Well, I tried to save it. Ended up passing, but
Mm,
yeah, I mean, there's other animals where I would find them on the road, and they were
been hit by
part of their part of yeah part of their family was dead, and they had some blood, so I rushed it to the vet and stuff, but they ended up being fine, but they were just so terrified they weren't moving, and they had some blood from their friend. So I am like I always want to save um, and
yeah.
help out animals.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, but so what was the guy's name again? The
Who,
podcast.
Chris? Oh, Lex Friedman.
Let's
Yeah.
Okay, I will go look that up, and then and we,
Because I think you would like a lot of his guests that he has really interesting topics,
mhm.
a lot of different, and weren't you like into physics and all that
Yes.
before?
But-
So you would probably understand the concepts better than me, and I find them interesting. I think you would really like it.
So
So,
Christopher saved his little baby bird from a cat that he had. Yeah,
oh my gosh.
yeah. It's like some of my neighbors. They can't stand to see. They'll try to break up all kinds of animal fights. And even like with coyotes and other things. Is like, no, I don't. I just can't stand to see that.
The best
And
way to break up a fight is a water hose and spray water on them. Um, just so you know, because especially if it's a large animal, like large dogs or something, or coyotes,
yeah, but sometimes.
that'll break it up right away.
But then would you need like to have a he would have needed like to have a water hose that was like 500 feet long, you know.
Unless, yeah, it depends on where you are. Like, or yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's too dangerous to get in between.
So Christopher, he saved a snake from the road. Well, that's cool.
I
That's
don't
good.
know if I would save a snake. I don't like bugs and I don't like snakes,
Yeah,
so I don't know.
I have a hard time with the creatures that don't have arms and legs, and
Yeah,
the
and like that. Yeah, I don't know.
yeah.
I have like a little bug phobia, but
Mm,
I know some people like my husband will pick up the bugs. I don't think it's to save them, but instead of like killing it, he'll just pick it up and put it outside.
well, the way things are heating up in the atmosphere, there's a lot of bugs that are disappearing. A lot of
And
them.
a lot of new species, though. I feel like that some of those hurricanes or have brought over to parts of different parts of like the world that didn't live in them before. Have you noticed that? Any of yours? Because I've noticed that
No,
here.
no, no. What I've noticed is a complete depletion of insects,
Really?
and I've seen it, and there's also a depletion of birds, which is why I'm kind of really both paranoid about that birdhouse that's on that pole, and being that there's that little bird in it,
Yeah.
and and it's like okay, but then at the same time I can't afford a $500 fine from the power company.
You'll have to call. I think you should call one of those places and have them like remove it or help you like relocate it somewhere.
Well, to see what I need to do to move it. So if I move it from there to just to another location, and do I maybe I just like cover the hole up with something, and then um
But isn't there a baby in there?
yes, it's a baby.
So you can't cover up the hole because then the baby won't be able to get out.
While I'm moving the entire house, birdhouse, moving it to a
Oh, I
different
see.
location.
Okay.
I know. I'm gonna have to call. I'll have to call like Oregon State or something like that to see if they have a suggestion there.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway.
All right, Bill. Well,
All
this
right. Well,
was fun. I had fun. Thank you for having me.
you talk for night. We talked for 90 minutes, which means you can do the coloring the tarot. You did good.
Yes,
Good time.
I'll try. Yes, I'll try it out and
Yeah.
stuff.
Well, it's all right. You're fine. It's but anyways, we will do another show together because I would like to because it would be easier the next time because this was your first time, and the first time is always the hardest time.
Yeah. So I don't know how you guys do it like all the time. I don't know. I have
Well,
to get used to it. I
I
think.
am doing it all the time, but I'm also like have this dream of wanting to be like another Art Bell.
Another what?
Art Bell.
Art Bell?
Yeah, don't you remember? You never listened to the Art Bell show, did you?
Uh-uh.
He was like a late night talk radio guy who talked to everybody, and then he rarely would shut people down with their crazy stories. And then and I thought, that's kind of what I'd like to be like. I want to be like that,
That
not
would be fun. I think people would really like that. And just yeah, you
I
should
mean,
totally start.
there are people like that already. You have, let's say, Next Level Soul guy. I know he's pretty. He doesn't have.
Yeah, but don't it doesn't don't let that stop you because there's people that will connect with you. You know that people that won't. Sorry, there's for people that won't connect. You know that will want to watch you. Some people want to watch both. Channels or
Or no,
three channels.
Art Bell. He used to do late night talk radio, AM radio, and he would be on from like 9 p.m. till midnight. But he was broadcasting out of Nevada. And he had his own like a whole field of antennas that he had built. And so he was broadcasting nationwide like 20 years ago.
Oh, wait a second. Was this the? Did he have like weird stories, like mystery stories, or like alien stories?
It's
Am I
everything.
thinking at the right one? And people
Everything.
would call in and share their like
Yeah,
weird, mysterious.
yeah, yeah.
That was cool. You should do that.
Yeah, exactly. But because he had a voice, and he had that radio voice, and wonderful sounding voice, and or that for that, and then there was this
Yeah,
an
you should
open.
totally do it. And you could, I mean, you could even have just uh, people just pop in either live or on over like the phone. I'm sure there's an integration that you can do for that too.
That requires a little bit of things that aren't in my budget, stuff that's not in my budget,
Well,
technology, right?
you know, um, they can. Well, just like you can put a link in your. I've seen people put like a link in their in the comment section. So, and you can have them join there, like one at a time or something.
Yeah, I think that using this piece of streaming software that I'm using, it would be a little bit challenging, but I think, because I haven't tried it, but I think I could cut people in and out. Because the reason I'm using this, I'm gonna talk about that on another video some other time.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
I'm starting to babble here. So
I
and
know. I'm tired.
is asking us to stream, and yes, sir. I'm going to end the stream here in just a minute. I wanted to thank
Good
everybody,
night, Christopher. Good night, everyone.
yeah, for tuning in, for Christopher, for the more intuitive me, for Essence of the Moon, for Roots and Waves,
Yes.
even for the troll for a few minutes. So
Yes, even for the troll. Thank you for adding energy.
John,
Yeah.
thank you, John, and thank you, Alexis. I had
Yes,
Alexis on
Lexi, Elizabeth, and
John,
Selena, everybody, Christopher,
tuning
John.
in. And you got to meet Pee Wee for a few seconds, and
I got to meet the fabulous Pee Wee who has beautiful silky hair. Yeah.
beautiful silky hair. And yeah, she's just a joy dog to have around. My
Well, thank
favorite.
you for having me. I mean, it was so like nerve wracking. I've only done one other live, and I was like so nervous. I didn't do another one. I haven't done another one. I think it was like maybe 3 months ago.
Oh, well, then I'm glad that you came out. So you're gonna come out again, and it's gonna be easier the next time. And so maybe this is like, medicine. It's medicine for you to come out and do this.
Yeah, it's kind of like training wheels. Like, get me out there. All right. Well, thanks, Phil. You have a good night.
Good night. Bye bye.
Bye bye.